Hi everyone, my name is Maryam Bakhtiari. I am a pediatrician from beautiful Iran. I am also the co-host of the Incubator Farsi podcast. And I'm really excited to be here to share with you the journey that I've gone through and the story that I have. Maybe you guys might find it interesting, hopefully. So this is Iran. For those of you who don't know where it is exactly, this is Iran. And just if you want to take something from my talk today, is that it's pronounced Iran, not Iran, okay? So please, please pronounce it right. So it is called Iran, and this is where we are located. So actually during the past few days, I've changed my talk like a million times. I've been so intimidated by this position. I was really scared to meet you guys and to talk in front of you. And well, obviously who wouldn't? But also, I think presenting in the last day of the conference was a blessing in disguise. So I got the chance to listen to all of you guys present. I got the chance to know about your vision. I got the chance to know about your dreams, your passions, the awesome projects that all of you are running. And also, I got the chance to talk to many of you. I got the chance to meet many of you, talk with you, and get to know you. And now I feel much more comfortable to talk here, obviously. And also, I feel like maybe we are not that different. Even though we're coming from different parts of the world, maybe we are connected, maybe we are similar, maybe we have similar passions, we are on the same mission, maybe we have the same vision. Okay, I'm rhyming, but maybe we're not that different after all. So the topic that I want to talk about today and the thing that I want to share with you is the story of the Incubator Farsi and what happened and where did it start, why did it start, and where is it going to. So first I want to picture this, that I want you to know that the challenges that we neonatologists in resource-limited settings are facing are not just challenges that are happening in Iran, but these are the things that are happening mostly everywhere. Like if you want to talk about resource-limited settings, these are the things that are happening everywhere, and it's not just about Iran. So I'm just an example of what I did for my own community, but maybe if anybody's listening and if anybody might watch this video, maybe they can get an inspiration, maybe they can get an idea that we don't have to accept this situation, maybe we can do something, even the smallest steps. So that is what I'm going for. I want you to imagine a world where every healthcare professional has access to amazing educational resources, regardless of their geographical location, their financial restraints, or political constraints. Sorry. And now imagine that this could be a distant dream for many of us. Like this is still a privilege in many of the countries. This is not a right in many of the places that we see in resource-limited settings. And this is heartbreaking because this could mean the difference between life and death in the neonatology field. This could mean the difference between life and death, access to high-quality education, access to high-quality technology, access to updated resources means like the difference between life and death and what we're happening. And what we're seeing is a big gap that is happening between what is happening here in high-income countries, the evolution of the technology, the evolution of treatments, and what we have in resource-limited settings, and what is happening. And when you see the potential and compare it to what you have, it is just heartbreaking. And well, this is an image, AI-generated image for the gap. And now after going through the workshop of James and Adam yesterday, now I noticed that this is like a very bad picture because I honestly do not know what is the deal with that vegetable box there. Why are the faces are so distorted? So maybe I had to work through it a little bit more, but at first I didn't notice. But after yesterday, now I understand that, yeah, this is like, well, what is happening here? But I think you get the gist that there's a gap between two worlds. And this is what I'm going through. And as I said, this means the difference between life and death for any preemie that we're taking care of and we are dealing with, and we are trying to save babies. Any of us, anywhere that we are working, whatever we're doing, our plan and our hope is to save at least one baby, try to help one more baby, and to be impactful maybe. So I don't want to make you sad, but I just also, because I know that many of my friends might watch this, so I just want to mention this, that when we're talking about physicians in resource-limited settings, we are not just talking about their limitations. So it is important to know that these physicians that we are seeing there, these are actual superheroes. So these are the people these are innovators, they are problem solvers, and these are the people that are trying to stretch their resources. They are trying to work with maybe outdated equipment. They are people that are trying to find innovative ideas to work with what they have, to find innovative things to maybe do this, to maybe try this treatment. And these are the true heroes. These are the unsung heroes of this story, that what they need, and it is important to remember that what they need is not a handout. What they need is equal access to knowledge. They need equal access to information. They need equal access to technology, and they need recognition. And also they need to be seen. They need to have a platform to have their voice heard. So, and I'm also talking to anyone who might watch this video that if you're a professional who is working, who is struggling with limitations beyond our control, we don't have to accept this gap. Technology has made the world much smaller. We are all connected in the world. Everything is accessible, and the solution is just right out there. So there are good things happening in the world. I'm not just trying to make you cry. So good things are happening. So we have open source journals. We have online educational resources. We have virtual conferences. We have educational podcasts like Incubator. We have virtual simulation labs as we had. There are so many amazing things that are happening, and they are within our reach, and we can have them if we want to, so we don't have to accept this gap. And so you might think with yourself that why would a pediatrician be what the hell? Why are you saying this to us? What are you doing here? So for that, I want to start by sharing my journey. First, I want to say that I had the consent of the parents for sharing the picture of their babies, and I hope it doesn't cause any trouble. So I want to start by telling you my story. So it was 2021. I was recently graduated from pediatrics residency from Tehran University of Medical Sciences. I was working in a rural hospital in Iran, in a city, even though my study and my family was in Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, and I studied in the best med school there. I was working for 1 year. I was working in a beautiful rural city named Gerash with a population of 50,000 people. And during my time there, I was the only pediatrician in the only hospital in that city. What that meant is that I was responsible for everything that happened to anyone aged less than 18. So anything that happened, they called me, that, okay, so what the hell, what do I have to do? What is going to happen? And if they were shifted to my service, and I had to deal with them. And that meant I was responsible to visit the emergency ward. I was responsible to take consultations. I was responsible to admit patients to the pediatrics ward. I was responsible to take care of them, come up with treatment plans, and then discharge them. I was also responsible because we had a very active labor unit, and we also had a level 2 NICU, an 8-bedded level 2 NICU with 3 ventilators. outdated ventilators, but with 3 ventilators. And I was also taking care of that NICU alongside all of these. So I was supposed to go to delivery rooms. I was supposed to participate in the resuscitation of the babies and then bring those babies to the NICU. And because the closest level 3 NICU was 600 kilometers away from where I was working, and the air transfer is not an option, so that meant that I had to take care of that baby till the end. I was responsible for that baby because it was not that baby's fault that he was born there. I wanted to provide the best possible care for that baby because, well, I have to do this. That baby was there. So you can imagine how frustrated and how scary that could be for a recent pediatric graduate, especially like attending deliveries as young as 25 weekers. And I dare you to show me one of your recent pediatric graduates who would like easily go to a 25-weeker resuscitation and then bring that baby to the NICU and take care of that baby for 2 months or 3 months until they got discharged and then do the follow-up by themselves, like in later. So I dare you guys to show me that. So, but in the first few months that I was working there, so I was like in the time that I was not crying, I was studying, obviously, because, well, I was a pediatrician and I was not trained to do this. I was trained to do this, but not on this scope. So I was studying like every resource that I could find, and these are like real images. This is the image of actually my desk there. So I tried to study every resource that I could find. I tried to ask like my counsel, like my attending, like the faculty members, the friends, the fellows that I knew. I asked them about the patients that I had, like, please tell me what do you think I should do? How can I take better care of this patient? And there were a lot of things that actually helped me through that process. Oh, and by the way, this is like one time that I just stared at a baby for a whole night because he wouldn't stop seizing. And we were just amping up the infusions and then adding just new medications. And yeah, that was a whole story. So imagine that I was in that situation. So as I said, there were a lot of resources that I used, and I tried to improve myself. And one of the important resources that I found, and one of the great and helpful resources that I found, was the Incubator podcast. So Incubator podcast was actually a breath of fresh air. So actually it helped me stay up to date on what was happening in the world. So at least I didn't have to go through like medical journals. At least I could hear what was happening. But the best feeling that it gave me and the best sense that I had after listening to the podcast was a sense of connection to the global neonatology community. I just felt that, okay, maybe even though I'm working in a very small city, like in very far, far away in Iran, even though maybe I am still a part of this amazing community. So I found out that this was an amazing tool, and I introduced this to my friends and my colleagues, and I told them that, okay, you should definitely listen to this podcast because this is amazing. And many of them did, and many of them still do. But soon after, I realized that, so something's wrong. Well, the first issue that we noticed was that, language barrier. So I noticed that for those of us like me who have not grown up speaking English or have not received medical training in English, it is really difficult to go through like these hard manuscripts, like scientific publications, and process them like very rapidly, and also to listen to someone else's interpretation. It requires a very good listening skill. And I'm actually really thankful that you guys provided transcriptions for the episodes, but I noticed that, this was not enough. And another issue that I faced, and I found out, is that, a lot of the publications and a lot of the articles that were discussed in the podcast were not directly applicable to what we were dealing with. So we had different challenges, we had different issues, and, it was a little bit different. So that was also another thing. So that got me thinking that maybe something needs to be done. Maybe I can take a shot here, as Ben was saying in the morning, so maybe I could take a shot. And I talked with a friend of mine, Aylar. Aylar is also the other co-host of the Incubator Farsi, and we decided that, yeah, this was something that we definitely wanted to do and decided to do. And because we believe that as clinicians all over the world, I think it doesn't just necessarily is about us Iranian neonatologists or physicians, I think this is about all of us, that we usually tend to get lost in like our clinical duties. We are usually taking care of our babies and the patients that we are more responsible for. So we don't have enough time to go through medical journals. And even if we find the time to go through them, so which one are we going to read? Because there are 1,000, and how to sift through them and how to find the relevant one, how to find which one works for me, which one is better for me. And if you got the chance to go through the journals, and even if you didn't have the language barrier, another big issue that we had is that if you don't have an academic subscription, these journals are super expensive. I think none of you have experienced this, but if you're a normal person like me, accessing these papers is like very expensive. You either have to pay like hundreds of dollars for subscription to each journal, or you have to purchase each paper like 20 or 30 bucks for each paper. And to talk about someone who's living in a country which has limited international transactions, so that was a big issue. So that is when I took a shot, and one night I decided to, okay, so what the hell? I will send an email to Ben, Daphne, and Rini, and I will say that, tell them that, okay, I'm really interested. I want to join you. So, and I sent that, and I told to myself that, okay, no, this is not happening. Come on, these are celebrity. Celebrity do not pay attention to us normal people. And we are like, okay, who would in their right mind answer to like a pediatrician and a recent graduate one from Iran? Like, why would they do that? Okay, be reasonable. But, well, I've already sent the email, so I slept. And so to my honest disbelief, it was, I wake up in the morning and then I saw their warm reply that they found my idea interesting. They found that, okay, so this could work. This is interesting. And we jumped on a Zoom call, and then from there, everything started to go on and happen. And that is how, and that is when I joined the incubator family. So Ben's picture from the morning was much better and much more updated, but hell, we also have the incubator India here. There are a lot of other amazing things happening in the incubator. This was the only picture that I had at the moment. But what I'm trying to say is that joining the incubator family was a very pivotal moment in my journey, because as a young pediatrician, so nobody would believe me that much. Nobody would accept what I'm trying to say. Nobody would give me that platform. Nobody would risk this on me, but yet they believed in me. They gave me the wings. They told me that, okay, you can do this. And they gave me like unlimited support all through this, which I'm truly grateful to have received. And I find myself really lucky. And that is how Incubator Farsi was born, and that is how we got here. So was this easy? Was this like, is it like as all very like warm and fuzzy as I'm telling it right now? So what happens after that you join this, and what happens when you start this podcast? Well, it is hard work, and it is exhausting, because you get to like have to start creating the content, and you have to start working. Actually, you have to start doing the job that you were telling that I want to do, and you have to do it consistently. Okay, so we publish every first day of the month, so we have to keep publishing every first day of the month. And we kept going, but it was really hard. And you cannot imagine, like, for example, the limitations that you cannot imagine. Sometimes we had internet access issues. Sometimes just wanting to do a Zoom meeting. I know Ben remembers the last Zoom meeting that we had, that I just couldn't even turn on my video because the internet connection would get lost, and we couldn't have a proper talk together. And also remembering and knowing that there are times that you feel like nobody is listening to what you're trying to say, the podcast that you're creating, and also that not everybody will cheer you on in this way. Not everybody will understand what you're trying to achieve. Even those people that you're doing it for, they're not necessarily happy with what you are doing and what you're trying to achieve, and not necessarily they will help you through this process. So it was definitely not an easy process. It was actually a very exhausting process, and also there is failure. So every idea that I had was not necessarily going to work because, failure is a part of the journey, and it helps us grow. It helps us to improve. I know all of that, like motivational stuff, that failure is really good, apparently. But, I want to say that I know that I said all of this negative stuff now, and I know that I said all of this, but I want to also say this, that now, after I'm standing here right now, after almost 2 years of doing this podcast, with over thousands of downloads from more than 72 countries all around the world, and it is like ridiculous. This is like just beyond my wildest dream. I never thought that this would ever happen, that we're not just talking about the neonatology like Iranian community, we are talking about the Farsi-speaking community, like all around the world. And then I'm receiving these amazing feedbacks that, okay, so we are trying to implement this change because one of the papers that you were discussing was super interesting, so we decided to do more research, and then we decided to, okay, so maybe we could change this in our unit. Or there were feedbacks that we received that I actually loved this one a lot, that they told me that they got ideas to do research and apply the similar research that was happening that I covered in one of the episodes, and apply that to resource-limited settings, and to see if we would get the same results and if we could use those results for our own conditions. So that was really awesome. And also there were people that were telling me that, okay, so if I was just 1 day late, there were people who would call me and tell me, okay, so when will the next episode air? So where are you guys? What are you doing? And we're getting messages from Switzerland or Spain or US or Australia or wherever that they're listening to us. So it's not all gloom and darkness. It is there is hope. There is hope for change, and you can believe that maybe it is possible to make a change. Maybe it's not that far. Maybe you don't have to be the biggest person in the room. Maybe you don't have to come from the power, position of power. You don't have to have everything figured out at the start. Maybe you don't need to have all the resources available at you at the beginning. If you have an idea, if you want to do something, if you feel like you can make a change, just having the courage to start, having the perseverance to continue, and the belief that you can make the change will make you go through. And I just want to end with this, that each one of us has the power to be the change we want to see in the world. We just have to believe. Thank you so much.